Hello, friendos, and welcome to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in Transformers. And we are wrapping up, at least currently wrapping up, the Zyuohger line by getting all of these bad boys together and making Wild Tousai King. Yes? I think it's Wild Tousai King. I'm pretty sure it's Wild Tousai King. Anyway, yep, we are going to put all of this together and make a pretty darn big combined up cube thing. Before we do that, just going to bring some little size comparison folks in here, just as a reminder, because it's been a little bit. Let's try and navigate around all this stuff, because I had to pull the camera way back, because this is going to get huge. So there we have a Titans Return Deluxe and our go-to of Samus. And there you can see how big everything is there. And now it is combination time, and I'm going to break everything down into their individual cubes because that's kind of where it all needs to start. So let's get to it. And at long last, here we have Wild Tousai King, and I love this thing. It's so absurdly stupid and fantastic. Just so many things that I love about this. I mean, I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of just having 3 and 4 cubes as feet, but it makes it pretty darn big and bulky. And I also really like how, if I can bring this guy a little closer here, you can kind of see how the way that both the crocodile and wolf are molded, he actually does have fists, and I think that's really clever. Again, coming back to what I've said in the past, how based on the angle you're looking at these cubes from and contextually where they're placed, they read totally differently, so it's like suddenly you have fists, and that works really well. I also like how adding 5 and 2, or wolf and shark, to the shoulders bulk out the shoulders quite a bit. And just blaster on the arm there looks really good. The bulked out chest. The head's still a little tiny, but I don't mind it too much. And then from the side here you can see he's also pretty darn bulky. Now there's one thing that kind of bugged me with him, and that's like when you slap these on the sides, that's fine, but the one thing that bugged me is the owl, and by extension the bat. They just kind of, stick out there a bit further than everything else. But I've found that that's easy enough to fix. You just click that in and just kind of wrap it around there, and there you go, problem solved. But yeah, I really, really like this combination. It's absurd, but absurd in a really good way. It's so bulky in a way that I absolutely adore. And it's going to rip his head off real quick to get in closer because it's easiest that way. It's a really nice head. It's a nice head, some nice detail, and then you've got that like kind of V shape that's just throughout all of the figures so far. Only now it's on the head, and it looks great. Just like that bit of white on the top there. And I like how, again, you look at it from this angle, and it's, there it's a robot fist, and then it's a rhino horn, and then, you turn it around, and it's a head. It's just really, really clever how they do that. And the face is still way too tiny proportionally for the rest of this. Come on, clip in. Clip in, there you go. The face is way proportionally too tiny for this, but I do still quite like how it looks overall. I think the head itself is actually a nice shape. And I am totally into that. I'm actually going to move him off to the side here, because we got some comparisons to make. So, first and foremost, we get the smaller ones out of the way. So here we have Samus. And Titan's Return Deluxe. Chrome Dome. And yeah, this guy gets pretty big with all that stuff attached. And again, it's not just the fact that he gets taller. I like the fact that he gets bulkier. Significantly bulkier. And just the two giant bricks for hands, the giant bricks for feet, the giant bricks in the shoulders, the giant bricks for chest. It works really well. And now things are going to get complicated because there's one size comparison I wanted to make that I would be upset with myself if I didn't, but oh goodness, is this going to be a thing. Guess who's coming into the shot? And angle him in there. Gonna have to angle it a little differently there. And okay, well, I'm gonna need to readjust. So here we have Wild Tousai King with, in this instance, Unite Warriors Devastator with the DNA Design Upgrade Kit, and he is not as, doesn't really come close to being as tall as Devastator, but he is still respectably large and bulky. I mean, he's big, and especially with the upgrades and all that, he's got some weight to him now, but he's heavier. He is much heavier. Oh, and also, just because I can now, whoop, he has the light up eyes. I got the batteries, yay! But yeah. So, just in case you wanted to see, that is how big Wild Tousai King is in comparison to Unite Warriors Devastator. I still think this guy's really cool, even if he is a little bit not as chunky and durable, I guess you could say, as some of these other figures. But yeah, it's still cool. So, Wild Tousai King. This guy. Oh, need to readjust again. I feel like all this video is me adjusting cameras. So, there we go. And angle that just a little bit more to get him entirely in the shot. And yeah, there we go. So yeah, Wild Tousai King. I adore this combination. It is really, really neat. And it's... this is where I'm comfortable stopping, honestly. I really like the Zyuohger line, but unless something major comes along in the future, I don't really see myself being all that interested in getting anything else, because I am totally cool stopping right here. Dodekaio is neat in his own ways. Like, I think as a whale, he looks really cool, but like, I'm not a huge fan of the robot mode. I'm not a huge fan of the combine mode. And I really don't like the fact that the combine mode for, what was it, Wild Tousai Dodeka King? I really don't like the fact that there are so many parts left over. Whereas with Wild Tousai King here, there are no parts left over. Like, the little spike gets clipped onto the back, the blaster gets clipped onto the arm, all the little weapons get clipped onto the legs to bulk them out a little more. It's just, everything is there, and it works really well. It's really, really nice. I really, really like this combination, and am very glad that I was able to finally get my hands on all of the pieces that I needed to do this, because it is very cool. And hey, if if you're interested in Zyuohger, like I said in the previous video, Zyuoh Wild is probably the best place to start. Zyuoh King is nice if you want to get into it more, because then you can combine Zyuoh Wild and Zyuoh King to make Wild Zyuoh King, and I'm in the minority, it seems, but I actually really like that combination. But yeah, with like Zyuoh King, Zyuoh Wild, and Tousai Zyuoh all together with Wild Tousai King. It's just really, really nice. A really, really great combination, and really just fun toys to mess around with. I have a hard time keeping him on the shelf because I keep wanting to take him down and play with him. I want to, I'll just sometimes be like, oh, I'm going to pop this off and just make a shark, which I can actually sort of do one-handed because of the ease of the transformations. But yeah, just like, there, now I can play around with the shark, and I still have him there, and then I can, pop him back in, and turn him back into a cube, and pop him right back on the shoulder. Sometimes I'll take him down and just break him down into his various parts and rebuild the individual mechs and rebuild, do the different combination for Wild Zyuoh King. This is a really, really fun line. And if you're thinking about it, then by all means, I say go for it. If you're unsure, if you're thinking maybe you just want to do one, then I'd say Zyuoh Wild is probably your best bet. But I mean, if you really want to go for it, then I say go for it, because this is it looks great, but it's also a lot of fun. And it looks great in the fact that it's so absurd. Yeah. It is absolutely ridiculous, but ridiculous in really good ways. Anyway, that has been my look at Wild Tousai King, and I am just super into this. So, thank you everybody for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any combination of those three would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.